Hello everyone, welcome back to Piedra Designs. This week I've got a piece of ebony. It's about 1.75 inches thick and almost 3 3/4 square. We should be able to get pretty close to that in diameter. And I've got a piece of myrtle mounted up on the lathe. And I've got a little piece of African blackwood that originally I bought as a pin blank. But what I thought I'd try to do is just make a simple straight-walled lidded box out of this ebony and use the myrtle as a lid and then turn a finial out of the African blackwood. I've got to turn this myrtle down some first. This is a wet piece, so I need to get it turned down to round and shaped a little bit so I can start it in the microwave drying cycles. And then while that, once I get that into the microwave for its first cycle, then I can start working on this piece of ebony. And of course, very last, we'll work on the finial, but that'll come after we get the lid turned. But to start with, let's get that piece of myrtle turned down so we can start it drying. Gonna be starting off at about 1,000 RPM. I'm gonna get this started on the microwave drying cycle, and when we come back I will have the piece of ebony mounted up. Alright, I've got the piece of myrtle that's gonna be the lid in the microwave. Well, it's out already. Got its first heating cycle. We've got the piece of ebony mounted up on the woodworm screw, and I have never got to work with ebony before, so I'm not sure what we're gonna find with this, how it works. But I've got the bowl gouge freshly sharpened up, and we're gonna start seeing if we can get this rounded out. Alright, time to get a little bit of sanding done. Alright, we're sanded up through 320 on that. I'm going to clean it off here with a little denatured alcohol and put the sanding sealer on that. Okay, so that sanding sealer's had a chance to dry up, and what I'm going to do now, before we move on to the abrasive paste and try to finish up this outside, I'm going to try to cut a little groove in here and inlay some white turquoise into this. Okay, so this is the white turquoise I'm going to be inlaying. I don't have quite as much as I thought I had. I may have to get a little bit more of this, but anyway, we have enough to give you guys the gist of what's going on with that. I'm going to be inlaying it with the thin CA, and what I'll do is I'll put some in there, drip the CA glue on it, and we'll go as far as we can with that. If there happens to be enough, we'll get all the way around. I'll build it up a little higher than what that is so I can sand it back. Then we'll repeat filling in any voids until we have that a good solid fill. This stuff is actually real stone that has been ground up into powder and then mixed back with resin. It makes it so the stone is workable with traditional tools. You don't have to have lapidary tools. Anyway, so I'll go through, make sure this is all saturated really good, give it a few minutes to set, and then we'll hit it with the accelerator. Looks like I did get the initial go around with what I had. I'm not sure still if I'm going to have enough for the subsequent void fill-ins, but we'll come back once we have that all done and we're ready to start finishing this outside before we get it turned around and hollowed out. That looks pretty good. We'll get that off of the woodworm screw and reverse mount it up into the chuck and get to hollowing out. Alright, so here's our ebony pot. I did go ahead and change plans. I'm going to make it more of a pot versus a box. I'm going to have the lid inset into this rim a little bit. And I've changed how I'm going to turn the lid. I'm actually going to turn a recess on the inside of the lid so I can turn that around in the chuck and have good access to the top. don't know if that piece is going to make it or not. Let me think about what I can do to maybe save this, or if we're going to need to find another piece to make our top out of. So I've got a piece of a cherry limb here. That's what I have at the moment. All right, you've already saw me do the recess on one piece. I'm gonna go ahead and get this back up to the stage where we started noticing the trouble with that other piece, and we'll come back and see you guys then. I think that looks a lot better by the time we get that sanded up and finished now. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, get the top of this sanded up and finished, and we'll bring you guys back when it's time for the next step. So our lid's finished up now. I've got the jaws changed out, got the pin jaws in there. I've got our little piece of African blackwood mounted up, and gonna see if we can make a little finial on this. Gonna be turning this about 2,000 RPM. Okay, that'll fit. I'll get the sanding disc mounted up on here and sand that down, and we'll come back when we got it all put together. All right, so we have it all done. Our little lidded pot box. Box is made out of ebony. The current lid is made out of cherry. And our finial on the top is African blackwood. We came out overall height at about 4 3/8 with a 3.5 inch diameter. The box itself is 1 3/4 inches high and about 1 1/4 inches inside depth. The finial itself is about 2 3/8 high, and our thinnest point here is just a hair over 1/8 of an inch. The calipers showed it about 9/64. So anyways, oh yeah, the inlay was white turquoise composite gemstone. Overall, I'm really happy with how this came out. Got a little detail on the inside of the lid too. I'm not real happy with the lid, even though this was the second lid that I had to turn, because the first lid, I don't know if it was a drying issue or if it was just something natural in the wood, but there was some pretty serious cracks, void type things going on. So I returned the second lid out of cherry, and in spite of wanting a loose fit, I still got 2 loose. Other wood turners know that one final cut. Well, that my one final cut on the lid by the time I sanded that, I still came out with that lid fitting looser than I wanted to. I purposefully wasn't trying to make a tight fit. I wanted it to be loose in case once it gets back in the house and acclimates, that lid swells a little bit. Dad had recently turned a lidded box, and we had turned the lid so that it was a loose fit, but since he's had it over in his shop for a couple of weeks, which is a lot warmer than my shop here, the lid swelled up a little bit, and you can actually pick the whole box up by the lid. So I was trying to avoid that issue. I think I definitely avoided it this time. If that thing swells that much, we might be under some serious weather conditions. Anyways, that's it for this week. If you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to the channel or follow us. Give this video a like or don't like it. From Piedra Designs, thanks for watching.